All right, so ready to walk into a room full of cricket nuts and have them think you've been following the game since, like, forever.
Sound like a plan.
Well, today we're diving deep into cricket history, specifically how its rules went from casual chats and maybe a few too many pints at the pub to the official rule book.
You're not wrong about those early days. It's wild to think about a game as steeped in tradition as cricket, starting out with, well, let's just say flexible rules.
Yeah, imagine explaining that at your local pub today, right?
Ah,
Oh, the rules. Well, they kind of depend on who's playing and what they had for lunch.
pretty much. Every village had its own quirks, its own interpretations, but you can imagine once people started wagering on those village matches, things had to become a tad more, shall we say, official.
Makes sense. High stakes require some ground rules, right?
Exactly. And that brings us to 1727 and a little something you might call the Duke's Agreement. Two cricket enthusiasts and probably a bit bored with just betting on regular matches, the Duke of Richmond and Viscount Middleton decided, you know what, enough of this rule confusion, let's make things interesting.
So they shook hands on a bet and invented standardized cricket.
Well, not exactly a bet this time. They actually hammered out a 16-point agreement just for their own matches.
Cricket's Magna Carta. Did they carve it onto a giant bat or something?
Sadly, no. But get this, the original handwritten document still exists.
No way, really. So what kind of crazy rules did they come up with back then?
Well, for starters, the pitch was 23 yards, not the 22 we know today.
A whole yard longer. Talk about a batsman's paradise.
Right. And teams had 12 players, not 11. But here's the real kicker. To score a run, you had to touch the umpire's stick, not the ground.
Wait, hold on. Their actual stick.
The one and only?
Wow. That's something else. I could see why they eventually decided to simplify things. It's like a high-stakes game of tag with wickets.
You're getting the picture. And this was still pretty early in cricket's story. Fast forward to 1744, and we have the London Cricket Club trying to wrangle all this into some kind of order with the first official laws of cricket.
Okay, so we're finally getting to the rule book era. Sounds very organized.
You'd think so, right? But there's a catch. These early laws, they completely forgot to mention anything about bowling style.
Forgot. You mean?
You can bowl however you liked. No overarm, underarm, round the back, twice on a Tuesday, anything went.
Now that's what I call freedom of play. I bet those matches were something to see.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of something to see, let's talk about 1771. Picture this. A gentleman by the name of Thomas White shows up for a match with a bat as wide as the wicket itself.
You're kidding! Did he wheel it in on a cart?
It's the kind of story you couldn't make up. Back then, there was no rule saying you couldn't have a door-sized cricket bat.
And I'm guessing that led to a few disagreements.
You could say that. Let's just say Mr. White's antics led directly to the bat width rule we still know and love today.
So the lesson here is always read the rule book carefully. You never know what loophole you might find.
Or what new rule you might inspire. But cricket's rule makers were in for another surprise just a few years later. In 1774, along comes a new bowling style, underarm pitching.
Underarm. And with that innovation, we get what's probably the most debated rule in cricket history, leg before wicket. Or, as the cool kids call it,
LBW.
exactly. But the original LBW rule, it had this interesting little clause, right? Something about design.
You've been doing your homework.
Yeah.
Yes, the original rule required the umpire to determine if the batsman intentionally blocked the ball with their leg. With design, as they put it.
Oh, I can already see the arguments brewing. How on earth do you prove intent in a fast-paced game like cricket?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It added a whole extra layer of complexity to the game and to the umpire's job description.
So we've got this whole design debate raging on. Bats the size of billboards. Sounds like cricket needed a bit of a referee, right? Someone to lay down the law, so to speak.
Well, that's where the Marylebone Cricket Club struts onto the field, our knights in shining armor, ready to bring some order to the chaos.
Yeah, the MCC. I've heard whispers of this legendary organization. They're kind of a big deal in the cricket world, yeah.
Big deal. They're practically cricket royalty. Founded in 1788, they set up shop at Lord's Cricket Ground, the holy grail for any true cricket fan, and got right down to business, refining the lawn of cricket. You know, no pressure or anything.
Just casually shaping the future of a beloved sport. So what wisdom did they bestow upon the cricket world first?
You might want to sit down for this one. Ready? They added the third stump.
The third? You mean, hold on. You're telling me there were only 2 stumps before that? How did they even
It was a simpler time. Apparently, those crafty batsmen were getting a bit too good at sneaking through those two lonely stumps.
Can't let those batsmen have all the fun, right? So the MCC swoops in with a simple, elegant solution: add another target. Genius.
Exactly. Sometimes the most straightforward solutions are the most brilliant.
Speaking of brilliant, I'm guessing those MCC folks didn't just stop at adding stumps. They must have given the whole rulebook a makeover.
Not exactly a complete makeover, more like a strategic nip and tuck. They standardized the dimensions of the pitch because, consistency is key.
Oh, absolutely. Can't have teams arguing about whether they're playing on a cricket pitch or an aircraft runway.
Right. And don't forget those crisp whitewash lines defining the creases. They added those too, for visual clarity and all.
It's incredible how all these little details and things we might not even think twice about today played such a crucial role in shaping the game.
And it wasn't always a quick fix either. Many changes came about gradually, like a slow and steady evolution. Take the six ball over, for instance. It didn't become standard until the early 1900s.
Wait, what? Hold the phone. They didn't always have 6 balls per over. Cricket really was a whole other ballgame back then. What other surprises did the MCC have up their sleeves?
Well, for one, they finally nailed down the official weight and circumference of the ball. No more bringing your mysteriously oversized lucky ball to the match, I suppose.
I can only imagine the shenanigans that inspired that rule change. So, what else? Give me another juicy tidbit from the MCC vault.
All right, how about this? They introduced declarations. Now, for those new to the game, a declaration is when a team decides to end their innings early, even if they haven't lost all their wickets. A bold move with all sorts of strategic implications.
It's like adding a dash of poker to the already thrilling game of cricket. I love it.
Yeah.
They weren't afraid to shake things up, were they?
Not at all. But of all the rules they tinkered with, debated, and refined over the years, there's one that always seems to stir up controversy.
Let me guess. It's LBW, isn't it? That rule is practically a cricket legend in its own right.
You've got a knack for this, yes. LBW, with all its complexities and interpretations, has been a constant source of debate and, let's face it, occasional head-scratching throughout cricket history.
So how did the MCC tackle the great LBW conundrum? Surely they must have spent countless hours, maybe even sleepless nights, agonizing over every last detail.
They gave it their best shot, that's for sure. Remember that with design clause. They eventually realized that trying to determine a batsman's intent in real time was like trying to catch a lightning bolt in a bottle.
And much less fun, I imagine.
Exactly. So they scrapped it. But even without the design element, the LBW debate raged on. Could you be given out LBW, our ball pitched outside off stump? The humanity. The back and forth on that one could fill volumes.
Cricket. The game of inches, agonizing decisions, and apparently endless rule revisions. But I get it. As the game evolves, the rules have to keep up.
That's the beauty of it, really. Cricket is a living, breathing sport, constantly adapting and reinventing itself.
Okay, so fast forward to the 21st century instant replays, high-tech equipment. You'd think by now the laws of cricket would be, engraved in gold on a mountain somewhere, set in stone.
It seems logical, right? All very official and final. But, well, the reality of cricket governance is a tad more, nuanced these days.
Nuance in the world of cricket. Don't keep me in suspense.
All right, so while the MCC, our friends with the rulebook, still hold the master copy, things get interesting when we talk about international matches. That's where the ICC, the International Cricket Council, steps in.
Okay, so the MCC lays down the law, and the ICC says, we'll take it from here, thanks, but we might add some custom options for our tournaments.
You've got it. Think of the MCC as setting the foundation, the guiding principles. Then the ICC comes in with its own playing conditions tailored specifically for international tournaments.
Cricket, the sport with layers. This just keeps getting more intriguing, but with 42 laws of cricket to wrangle. I have to ask, did you have to practically memorize the entire rulebook to become an expert?
Let's just say I've spent my fair share of time with the laws of cricket. But fear not, my friend. You don't need to transform into a walking, talking cricket encyclopedia to impress at your next watch party.
Because that's the beauty of this deep dive, right? We're arming our listeners with those oh-so-satisfying historical anecdotes and rule-bending stories that even the most die-hard cricket fan might not know.
Exactly. You can casually mention the three-stump origin story, drop the 1771 bat controversy, even delve into the philosophical depths of LBW. Trust me, you'll have them hooked.
From casual fan to cricket guru in just one deep dive. But we wouldn't be the deep dive if we didn't leave you with a little food for thought, right? We've explored how cricket's rules evolved, adapted to new technologies, even corrected for the occasional, shall we say, creative interpretation. But it makes you wonder, does all this standardization, this quest for uniformity, actually make the game more fair? Or does it chip away at that early spirit of ingenuity, that adaptability that made those early matches so captivating?
Now, that's a question worth pondering. And I don't think there's a simple answer. It reminds us that sports, much like life itself, are all about finding that sweet spot, that balance between honoring tradition and embracing innovation. The rules, they're not just there to maintain order, they tell the story of the game's journey.
Beautifully put. And who knows, maybe our listeners will see cricket or even their own favorite sport with fresh eyes after today's deep dive. Because whether it's a bat pushing boundaries or a strategically placed leg sparking debate, the rules of the game, they're a window into something much bigger. And that's what makes exploring these topics so rewarding. Until next time, keep those thinking caps on. And remember, there's always more to discover.